I served my husband divorce papers on Christmas Day in front of his entire family, right between the honey-glazed ham and his mother's famous pecan pie. His sister dropped her wine glass. His father choked on a dinner roll. And Carl, my husband of 23 years, turned the color of the cranberry sauce while that home-wrecking neighbor of ours sat frozen in my guest chair, wearing the perfume I bought her for her birthday. But let me back up. Let me tell you about the 12 days that set me free. Welcome to Drama Coda. I'm Sandra, and this is my story. Watch until the end, leave a like, and rate my story 1 to 10 in the comments because you're going to want to talk about this one. December 13th started like any other Thursday in Nashville. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning like I had for the past 30 years. Made coffee in the same coffee maker Carl bought me for our 10th anniversary. Got dressed in my scrubs because I've been a nurse practitioner for 27 years and people depend on me. People trust me with their lives, their pain, their secrets. But I didn't know that on this particular Thursday, my entire life was about to crack open like an egg, and what would spill out would be uglier than anything I'd seen in all my years working in healthcare. I was running late that morning. Couldn't find my stethoscope. Typical. I was looking everywhere, bedroom, bathroom, hall closet, and that's when I grabbed Carl's tablet off the nightstand thinking maybe I'd left some notes on it the night before. We shared devices sometimes. We'd been married 23 years. We trusted each other. Or at least I thought we did. The screen lit up. And there it was. A text message preview from someone named Jen with a little heart emoji next to her name. The message said, "Last night was incredible. I can still feel you. I miss you already, baby." My hands went numb. Like actually numb. Like when you sleep on your arm wrong and you wake up and it doesn't feel like it belongs to you anymore. That's what my whole body felt like. I stood there in my bedroom, the room where I'd made love to my husband 1,000 times, where we'd talked about our dreams, where we'd held each other through bad news and good news and no news at all. And I read that message over and over again, trying to make it make sense in a way that didn't destroy everything. But there's no other way to read words like that. I sat down on the edge of the bed. I didn't cry. That's the weird part. I thought I would scream or throw something or collapse, but instead I just sat there feeling like someone had hollowed me out with a spoon and left nothing but skin behind. I opened the messages. All of them. Months and months of them. Pictures. Voice notes. Plans. Things they did together. Things he said to her that he used to say to me a lifetime ago before we became roommates who shared a mortgage and a last name. And then I saw her name at the top of the chat. Not Jen. Jennifer. Jennifer Paulson. Our neighbor. The woman who lived 3 houses down with her husband Mark and their golden retriever Biscuit. The woman I'd had coffee with dozens of times. The woman who I'd helped when her mother died last spring, who I'd brought soup to when she had the flu, who I'd invited to our summer barbecues and Christmas parties. That Jennifer. I thought about Mark. Nice guy. Worked in finance. Traveled a lot for work. And suddenly it all made sense. All those nights Carl said he was working late at the auto shop. All those weekends he went golfing but came home without a tan. All those times he smelled like perfume and said it must have been from a hug from a customer's wife. I believed him because why wouldn't I? We'd built a life together. We had a home. We had history. We had vows. Apparently none of that mattered. I closed the tablet. Put it back exactly where I found it. Found my stethoscope hanging on the back of the bathroom door like always. Drove to work. Checked in patients. Listened to hearts and lungs. Wrote prescriptions. Smiled. Nodded. Did my job like a professional because that's what you do when your world is ending, but people still need their blood pressure checked. But inside? Inside I was planning. See, here's what most people don't understand about betrayal. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you dangerous. Because suddenly all those rules you've been following your whole life, all that turn the other cheek and take the high road nonsense, it just evaporates. and what's left is something raw and sharp and focused. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to give him the chance to gaslight me, or make excuses, or promise to change. I'd seen too many women in my exam rooms, crying about husbands who cheated, who lied, who made them feel crazy for noticing what was right in front of their faces. I'd held their hands, prescribed them antidepressants, watched them go back to men who didn't deserve them. I wasn't going to be one of those women. So on my lunch break, I sat in my car in the parking lot of the clinic and I made a decision. 12 days. I had 12 days until Christmas. 12 days until Carl's entire family would be at our house for dinner like they were every single year. His parents, his sisters, his brother, his aunts and uncles and cousins. Everyone he cared about impressing. Everyone he wanted to think he was this great husband and provider and family man. 12 days to document everything. 12 days to talk to a lawyer. 12 days to plan the most epic, public, devastating reveal of his double life that he would never forget for as long as he lived. I bought a red leather journal on my way home from work that day. Went to that fancy stationery store downtown, the one that smells like vanilla and old books. Got the most expensive one they had. Because if I was going to document the death of my marriage, I was going to do it in style. That night when Carl came home, I kissed him. Asked him how his day was. Made his favorite dinner, meatloaf with mashed potatoes and green beans. We watched television together on the couch like we always did. He put his arm around me, told me he loved me, and I said it back. I lied right to his face just like he'd been lying to mine, and it felt powerful. Day 1 in the journal. December 13th. Discovered affair via text messages on tablet. Suspect Jennifer Paulson from Maple Drive. Affair appears to be ongoing for approximately 4 to 6 months based on message history. Carl claimed he was working late tonight, but shop closes at 6 and he didn't arrive home until 9:30. Showered immediately upon arrival. Phone face down on counter during dinner. I wrote everything down. Every detail. Every time he lied. Every time he snuck out to the garage to text her. Every time he said he was going to Home Depot but came back without any supplies. I photographed everything. Screenshots of messages. Receipts I found in his wallet. Credit card statements showing charges at restaurants we never went to, hotels and towns he claimed to be working in. I became a detective in my own marriage, and let me tell you, once you start looking, you can't unsee it. It's like one of those optical illusions where once someone points out the hidden image, you can't figure out how you ever missed it in the first place. December 14th. Day 2. Carl left at 7 in the morning saying he had to open the shop early for an inventory delivery. I drove past the shop on my way to work. It was closed. No cars in the lot. No delivery truck. I parked across the street and waited. At 7:45, his truck pulled up. To Jennifer's house. He used a key to let himself in the side door. He didn't come out until 9:15. I was late to work for the first time in 3 years. But I had photos. That night I did something I never thought I'd do. I made an appointment with a divorce attorney. Her name was Rebecca Chen, and she had a 5-star rating online and a reputation for destroying cheating husbands in court. I liked her immediately. She had this energy about her, like a shark in a business suit. Sharp, focused, hungry. I showed her everything. The messages, the photos, the timeline. She smiled, actually smiled. And she said, "Sandra, you're going to be just fine. Better than fine. You're going to own him." Tennessee is a fault-based divorce state. That means proof of adultery matters. It means I could get a bigger share of assets. It means I had leverage. And Rebecca was going to make sure I used every bit of it. December 15th. Day 3. I started moving money. Not a lot. Just enough that he wouldn't notice. I had my own checking account from before we got married that I'd kept active over the years, just kept a small balance in it for emergencies. I started transferring small amounts from our joint savings. 500 here, 300 there. I wasn't trying to hide assets. Rebecca had been very clear about that. I was just making sure I had cash available for whatever came next. For a deposit on an apartment if I needed one. For lawyer fees. For my life after Carl. I also started documenting our assets. I made copies of everything. Bank statements. Retirement accounts. The deed to the house. The titles to both cars. Our life insurance policies. I spent hours in the home office while Carl was at work, or at Jennifer's, or wherever the hell he actually was, just photographing and scanning and organizing. I'd built this life with him. I'd worked double shifts to help pay off his business loan when he bought the auto shop. I'd skipped vacations so we could save for the down payment on this house. I'd sacrificed my own dreams, my own goals, my own career advancement opportunities because he needed me to be the stable one while he chased his entrepreneurial fantasies. And he repaid me by screwing the neighbor. That night I did something bold. I invited Jennifer over for coffee. Just texted her out of the blue and said, "Hey, wanna come by tomorrow morning before work? I'm testing out a new coffee blend and I'd love your opinion." She responded within minutes. "Would love to. See you at 8. Exclamation points and everything. The audacity. December 16th. Day 4. Jennifer showed up at my door at 8:05 wearing yoga pants and a pink sweater and that same perfume. The one I'd bought her. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Carl and I had eaten thousands of meals together, and we drank coffee and we talked about Christmas plans and how cold it was getting and whether we thought it would snow this year. She was good. I'll give her that. Not a single tell. No guilt in her eyes. No nervousness in her voice. She sat there in my home, drinking my coffee, eating my homemade cinnamon rolls, talking about how excited she was for the holidays, how Mark was going to be traveling again this year, so she'd probably be alone on Christmas Eve, but that's okay because she was used to it. And I smiled. And I nodded. And I said, "Oh, you should come to our Christmas dinner. We always have a big crowd. You'd be more than welcome." She lit up. "Really? Oh, Sandra, that's so sweet of you. I'd love that. Mark won't be back until the 26th, so I'd be all alone otherwise." "Perfect," I said. "Come around too. Bring an appetite." She hugged me when she left. Actually hugged me. And I hugged her back. And the whole time I was thinking, you have no idea what's coming for you. Day 5. December 17th. I called Carl's mother. Sweet woman. Naive as hell but sweet. I told her I wanted to make this year's Christmas dinner extra special, that I was thinking of inviting a few neighbors to join us since it was such a hard year for so many people. She loved the idea. Said I had such a generous heart. Said Carl was so lucky to have me. I almost laughed. I also confirmed that everyone was coming. Carl's parents, Frank and Diane. His younger sister Emily and her husband Josh and their 2 kids. His older sister Patricia, who just went through a divorce herself. Oh, the irony. His brother David, who still lived at home at 34. Even Carl's Aunt Margaret, who usually spent Christmas in Florida but was staying local this year because of a hip replacement. The whole family. Witnesses everywhere. Day 6. December 18th. I went shopping. Bought the most beautiful decorations I could find. A wreath for every window. Garland for the staircase. A massive Christmas tree that took Carl 3 hours to set up because I insisted it had to be perfect. I hung lights on every surface. I bought candles that smelled like pine and cinnamon. I bought new serving dishes and fancy napkins and enough food to feed an army. Carl kept saying, "Babe, this is a lot. Are you feeling okay?" And I'd kiss his cheek and say, "I just want this Christmas to be memorable. One we'll never forget." He had no idea how right I was. I also bought myself a new outfit. A deep red dress. Fitted but classy. Powerful but feminine. I wanted to look good when I destroyed his life. I wanted him to see exactly what he was losing. Day 7. December 19th. Rebecca called. The papers were ready. She'd drafted everything. Divorce petition citing adultery with evidence attached. Restraining order if I wanted one. I didn't. Asset division proposal that was more than fair to me considering I'd been the stable income while he built his business. She'd even included a clause about his pension and the equity in the auto shop. I'm requesting that you retain the marital home, she said. You've been making the mortgage payments from your income primarily, and given his fault in the breakdown of the marriage, the judge will likely award it to you. He can buy you out or you can force a sale, but either way, you're keeping that house. I thought about Jennifer 3 houses down, about having to see her every day, about the memories soaked into every wall of this place. Sell it, I said. I want a clean start. Rebecca respected that. Day 8. December 20th. Carl asked me what I wanted for Christmas. We were lying in bed, his arm around me, and he asked me like he cared. Like he wasn't actively destroying me. Like he wasn't making a fool out of me behind my back. I said, surprise me. He kissed my forehead. Said he had something special planned. Said this was going to be a Christmas I'd never forget. The irony was suffocating. I knew what he'd probably gotten me. Something expensive to cover his guilt. Something showy to make himself feel like less of a monster. Jewelry, maybe. A watch. Something I could show off to make it look like he was a good husband. What he didn't know was that the only gift I wanted was my freedom. Day 9. December 21st. The longest day of the year. The darkest. Fitting. I spent it meal prepping for Christmas dinner. I made Carl's favorite dessert, bourbon pecan pie. Made his mother's famous green bean casserole recipe. Marinated the ham in brown sugar and pineapple juice. Everything perfect. Everything beautiful. Everything poisoned with the knowledge of what was coming. That night, Carl went out. Said he needed to pick up some last-minute Christmas shopping. Needed a few hours. I smiled. Said, take your time. I tracked his phone. He went straight to Jennifer's house. Stayed there for 3 hours. Came home with shopping bags from stores I knew he hadn't been to because I'd checked the parking lots on my way home from work. More lies. More evidence. More ammunition. Day 10. December 22nd. I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my high school sweetheart, Tommy Henderson. We'd dated senior year, had this intense, beautiful, first love kind of relationship that ended when we went to different colleges and grew up and moved on. I'd heard through mutual friends that his wife had passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. Brutal and fast. I didn't call him because I wanted to date him. I called him because I needed to remember who I was before Carl. Before this life. Before I became someone who made excuses for a man who didn't respect me. We talked for 2 hours. About old times. About loss. About starting over. He'd moved back to Nashville after his wife died. Was working as a physical therapist. Living alone. Learning how to be a person again after grief. We made plans to get coffee after the holidays. It felt like hope. Day 11. December 23rd. 2 days before the reveal. I woke up with this strange calm. Like I'd been holding my breath for 11 days and suddenly remembered how to breathe. I looked at Carl sleeping next to me, his face peaceful and untroubled, and I felt nothing. Not love. Not hate. Just nothing. That's how I knew I was ready. I spent the day wrapping presents. Got Carl the power tools he'd been asking for. Wrapped them beautifully with silver paper and red bows. I wanted everything to look perfect. Normal. Expected. I wanted him relaxed and unsuspecting. That night his mother called to confirm the menu. I went through everything with her. The ham, the sides, the desserts. She asked if I needed help with anything, and I said no, I've got it all under control. She said, you're such a blessing to this family, Sandra. We're so lucky Carl found you. Soon they'd know the truth. Day 12. December 24th. Christmas Eve. The final day of documentation. The final day of pretending. Carl and I went to the Christmas Eve service at church like we did every year. Sat in the same pew. Sang the same hymns. Held hands during the prayers. He squeezed my hand during Silent Night and whispered, "I love you." I squeezed back. After church, we drove around looking at Christmas lights like we used to do when we were first married. We got hot chocolate from the drive-thru. We listened to Christmas music. For a few hours, I let myself pretend that everything was okay. That the past 12 days had been a bad dream. That tomorrow we'd wake up and have a normal Christmas and he'd never cheated and I'd never found those messages and we'd just keep being us. But then we got home and his phone buzzed and he smiled at it in that way, that secret way, and the fantasy shattered. He went to bed early. Said he was tired from all the church festivities. I stayed up until 2 in the morning finishing the final preparations. The table set perfectly. The house spotless. The presents under the tree. Everything ready. I put the divorce papers in a gift box. Wrapped them in the same silver paper I'd used for his power tools. Put a big red bow on top. Set it right in the center of the dining table where everyone would see it. Then I went upstairs. Took a long shower. Washed off 12 days of lies and performance and pain. Put on my pajamas. Climbed into bed next to my husband for the last time. I didn't sleep. Christmas morning. December 25th. The day of reckoning. I woke up before Carl. Put on my red dress. Did my makeup. Fixed my hair. I looked good. I looked strong. I looked like a woman who was about to take her life back. Carl woke up and smiled at me. "Merry Christmas, babe. You look beautiful." "Thanks," I said. "Merry Christmas." We went downstairs. Opened our gifts to each other. He got me a diamond necklace. Expensive. Gilt-wrapped in velvet. I thanked him. Put it on. It felt like a collar. He opened his power tools. Acted thrilled. Hugged me. Said I was the best wife in the world. I smiled. People started arriving around noon. His parents first. Then his sisters. Then his brother. Then extended family. The house filled with noise and laughter and the smell of ham cooking and Christmas music playing and everyone hugging and smiling and talking about how beautiful the decorations were, how festive everything looked, how this was going to be the best Christmas yet. At 1:30, the doorbell rang. Jennifer. Right on time. Wearing a green dress and heels and carrying a bottle of wine. Carl's face when he saw her walk in. That was the first crack in his armor. He went pale. Looked at me. Looked at her. Looked back at me. I smiled. "Everyone, this is our neighbor Jennifer. I invited her since she's spending the holiday alone this year. Jennifer, come meet everyone." I introduced her to his entire family. Made her shake hands with his mother. Made her compliment his sister's kids. Made her sit in the living room making small talk while Carl stood in the corner looking like he was going to have a heart attack. At 2 o'clock, I called everyone to the table. We said grace. Carl's father, traditional and religious, thanking God for family and blessings and another year together. Then I started serving. Ham. Mashed potatoes. Green beans. Rolls. Cranberry sauce. Pie. Everything passed around the table with laughter and stories and everything normal. Until I stood up. I picked up the silver-wrapped gift box from the center of the table. Everyone got quiet. Confused. Looking at each other wondering what was happening. "Carl," I said, "I have one more gift for you. I wanted to give it to you in front of everyone who loves you. Everyone who thinks you're such a great man. Such a good husband. Such a family man." I handed him the box. His hands were shaking. He knew. Somehow he knew. But it was too late. Everyone was watching. Waiting. Smiling. Expecting something sweet. "Open it," I said. He opened it. Pulled out the papers. his face drained of all color. His mother leaned over. "What is it, honey?" His sister craned her neck. "Carl?" "Divorce papers," I said loudly. Clearly. For everyone to hear. "I'm divorcing Carl for adultery. He's been having an affair with Jennifer here for the past 6 months. I have proof. Text messages. Photos. Documented evidence of lies and betrayal and disrespect. So Merry Christmas, Carl. You can have her. I'm done." The silence was deafening. Then chaos. His mother started crying. His father started yelling. His sister dropped her wine glass, red liquid spreading across my white tablecloth like blood. Jennifer stood up, knocking her chair over, stammering excuses. Carl just sat there, frozen, papers in his hands, looking at me like I was a stranger. I grabbed my purse, my coat, my car keys, and I walked out of my own house while everyone I'd cooked for and decorated for and performed for sat there in shock. I drove to a hotel, checked in, ordered room service, turned off my phone, and I sat there in that quiet hotel room, alone on Christmas night, and I felt free. The next few weeks were brutal. Carl tried to call, tried to explain, tried to apologize. His family took sides. Some blamed me for humiliating him publicly. Some blamed him for being a cheating bastard. His mother cried and said I'd ruined Christmas forever. His sister Patricia, the divorced one, sent me flowers and a card that said "You're my hero." Jennifer's husband Mark filed for divorce too. Turns out he'd suspected but didn't have proof until I provided it. Carl lost clients at his shop because word spread fast in Nashville, and nobody wants to give their business to a man who can't keep his vows. His reputation tanked. His life imploded. And me? I thrived. I kept the house and the divorce settlement. Carl had to buy me out of his business. I got half his pension. I got alimony. Rebecca had been right. I owned him. Then I sold the house. Couldn't stand to look at it anymore. Too many memories. Too much pain. I bought a condo downtown. Smaller. Modern. Mine. I started a podcast called Life After 50. Talked about divorce and betrayal and starting over and finding yourself after you've lost everything you thought defined you. Women called in from all over the country sharing their stories. It blew up. Sponsors reached out. Speaking opportunities came in. I quit my job at the clinic and started doing this full time. And Tommy? We got that coffee. Then another coffee. Then dinner. Then more dinners. We took it slow. Both of us damaged. Both of us healing. Both of us learning how to trust again. He's nothing like Carl. He's quiet where Carl was loud. Thoughtful where Carl was impulsive. Present where Carl was always somewhere else. We're not rushing into anything. But there's something there. Something real. Something that feels like it could be beautiful if we let it. I'm 58 years old and I'm starting over. And yeah, it's scary. Yeah, some days I wake up in panic because I'm alone and I'm building a new life from scratch and I don't know if any of this is going to work out. But you know what? It's my life. My choice. My future. Not dictated by a man who couldn't keep his promises. Not defined by betrayal. Not limited by fear. Those 12 days before Christmas? They didn't set me free. I set myself free. The 12 days were just the plan. The action was all me. I could have forgiven him. Taken him back. Pretended it never happened. Gone to couples therapy and tried to rebuild trust and spent the rest of my life wondering if he was really working late or seeing her again or finding someone new. But I didn't. I chose me. And that's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. It's not the end of your story. It's just the end of a chapter. A painful, devastating, soul-crushing chapter, but still just a chapter. You get to write what comes next. You get to decide if you're the victim or the survivor. You get to choose if this thing that happened to you defines you or refines you. I chose refinement. I chose to let this betrayal burn away everything that wasn't serving me. The people-pleasing, the need to be liked, the fear of being alone, the belief that my value was tied to being somebody's wife. All of it. Gone. Ashes. And from those ashes came this version of me that I actually like. This version that speaks up. That sets boundaries. That doesn't apologize for taking up space. Carl texted me last week. Said he was sorry. Said he made a mistake. Said Jennifer wasn't what he thought she was. That it was just an escape from the monotony of our marriage. That he missed me. That he wanted to try again. I blocked his number. Because here's what I know now. An apology without change is just manipulation. And a man who cheats isn't looking for something he's missing in his marriage. He's looking for something he's missing in himself. And no woman can fix that. Not me. Not Jennifer. Not whoever comes next. He has to do that work himself. And it's not my job to wait around while he figures it out. My job is to live. To heal. To build. To become. To show other women that it's never too late to choose yourself. That 58 is not too old to start over. That being alone is not the same thing as being lonely. That you can lose everything you thought mattered and discover that what actually matters was buried underneath all along. I talk to women every day on my podcast who are stuck in marriages that are killing them slowly. Women who know their husbands are cheating but don't have proof. Women who have proof but are too scared to leave. Women who've left but feel guilty about it. Women who stayed and regret it. Women who are paralyzed by fear and shame and the weight of other people's expectations. And I tell them what I wish someone had told me years ago. You are not responsible for his choices. You are not required to forgive betrayal. You are not obligated to stay in a situation that's destroying you just because you made a promise to a man who broke his promises first. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to say enough. It's not selfish. It's survival. And anyone who tells you otherwise has never had to choose between their dignity and their marriage. I spent 23 years building a life with Carl. 23 years of compromise and sacrifice and putting his needs before mine. 23 years of being the good wife, the supportive partner, the woman who held everything together while he got to be the dreamer, the entrepreneur, the man who needed space and freedom and understanding. And in 6 months, he threw it all away for a thrill. For novelty. For ego. For whatever selfish, broken part of himself needed validation from someone new. That's not love. That's not even like. That's just weakness disguised as passion. And I refuse to build my life around someone else's weakness anymore. So yeah, I served him divorce papers on Christmas Day. And yeah, it was dramatic. And yeah, maybe I could have handled it differently, privately, quietly, without the audience. But you know what? He didn't cheat on me privately. He cheated on me in my home, in my neighborhood, with my friend. He humiliated me every single day for 6 months. He made a fool of me in front of people I knew. So I returned the favor. And I don't feel bad about it. Because sometimes the high road is just another way of saying let him get away with it. And I was done being the woman who let things slide for the sake of peace. Peace at what cost? My self-respect? My mental health? My future? No thank you. I chose war. I chose exposure. I chose consequences. And I'd do it again. The holidays are hard now. Christmas will probably always hurt a little because it's tied to that day, that moment, that choice. But it also represents my liberation. My rebirth. My refusal to stay small and quiet and acceptable. Every Christmas from now on, I'll remember that I'm the woman who chose herself. Who documented the lies. Who hired the lawyer. Who made the plan. Who followed through. Who walked away from everything familiar into something unknown and terrifying and ultimately beautiful. I'm the woman who survived. And that's worth celebrating. Tommy asked me last night what I wanted for my future. We were sitting on my couch in my condo, drinking wine, watching the city lights, and he asked me what comes next for Sandra Mitchell. And I realized I don't know. For the first time in my adult life, I have no idea what comes next. No husband to plan around. No marriage to maintain. No role to perform. Just me and possibility and time. And that's exactly what I wanted. I might travel. I've always wanted to see Italy. Might write a book. Might expand the podcast into something bigger. Might fall in love with Tommy or might not. Might stay in Nashville or might move somewhere completely new. Might become a completely different person or might settle into this version and make her permanent. I don't know. And I'm okay with not knowing. Because the not knowing means I get to decide. The not knowing means nothing is predetermined. The not knowing means I'm free. And freedom, real freedom, is terrifying and exhilarating and worth every single uncomfortable moment it takes to get there. So if you're watching this and you're in a marriage that's hurting you, if you're with someone who lies or cheats or disrespects you or makes you feel small, if you're staying because you're scared or because you don't want to be alone or because you think you're too old to start over, I want you to hear me clearly. You're not too old. You're not too damaged. You're not too invested. You're not too anything. You're exactly right for choosing yourself. And it's going to be hard. It's going to hurt. You're going to have moments where you question everything. Where you wonder if you made the right choice. Where you miss the familiar even though the familiar was toxic. Where you feel guilty for prioritizing your own well-being. Where people judge you and gossip about you and make you the villain in their version of your story. Let them. Their opinions are not your responsibility. Your life is. And you only get one. One life. One chance. One opportunity to decide what you'll tolerate and what you won't. What you'll accept and what you'll reject. Who you'll be and who you'll refuse to become. Don't waste it on someone who doesn't see your worth. Don't sacrifice it for someone who wouldn't sacrifice for you. Don't shrink it to make someone else comfortable. Expand. Explode. Become. Choose 12 days or 12 years or 12 minutes. Whatever it takes. But choose yourself eventually. Choose yourself loudly. Choose yourself unapologetically. Because you deserve a love that doesn't require detective work. You deserve a partner who doesn't make you question reality. You deserve a life that feels like freedom instead of a life sentence. And if that means serving divorce papers on Christmas Day in front of his entire family, so be it. At least you'll have a hell of a story to tell. I know I do. And I'm just getting started. 3 years from now, I'll be 61. And I'll be whoever I decide to be. Not Carl's ex-wife. Not the woman who got cheated on. Not the cautionary tale or the inspiration or the victim or the villain. Just Sandra. 58-year-old Sandra who chose herself and built something beautiful from the rubble. And that's the woman I want to be. That's the legacy I want to leave. Not the marriage that failed. The woman who thrived after. So here's my final thought. My parting wisdom. My mantra for anyone who needs it. You are not what happened to you. You are not defined by who left or who lied or who broke your trust. You are not the betrayal. You are not the divorce. You are not the failed relationship or the shattered dream or the life that didn't go according to plan. You are the decision to keep going. You are the courage to start over. You are the strength to choose yourself when choosing yourself is the hardest thing you've ever done. You are the 12 days of planning and the moment of action and the aftermath of freedom. You are the woman who survived, who rebuilt, who refused to stay small. You are enough. You've always been enough. And you always will be. Remember that. Write it down. Tattoo it on your heart. Whatever it takes. Just don't forget it. Because the world will try to make you forget. It'll tell you you're being dramatic. That you're overreacting. That you should forgive and forget and move on and be the bigger person. It'll tell you that marriage is hard work and nobody's perfect and everyone makes mistakes and you should give him another chance. And maybe some of that is true for some people in some situations. But not all mistakes are created equal. Not all betrayals deserve forgiveness. Not all marriages are worth saving. And you get to decide which category yours falls into. Nobody else. Just you. I decided mine wasn't worth saving. And I don't regret it for a single second. Even on the hard days. Even on the days when I eat dinner alone and watch movies alone and go to bed alone and wake up alone. Even on those days, I'd still choose this over going back to a man who didn't value me enough to stay faithful. Because loneliness is temporary. Self-betrayal is permanent. And I'd rather be alone with my integrity than partnered with someone who requires me to abandon it. That's the truth they don't tell you when you're young and falling in love and planning your wedding and thinking forever is a guarantee. Forever is a choice. And both people have to keep choosing it. Every single day. In every single moment. Through every single temptation and difficulty and boring Tuesday night. Carl stopped choosing me. So I stopped choosing him. Simple as that. And now I get to choose what comes next. And I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing growth. I'm choosing adventure. I'm choosing myself over and over again until it becomes second nature instead of an act of rebellion. The podcast helps. Hearing other women's stories. Knowing I'm not alone in this. Knowing that betrayal is universal and survival is possible and thriving is inevitable if you do the work. Every episode one record, every woman I talk to, every story I hear, it reinforces that I made the right choice. Not the easy choice, but the right one. And I sleep better now than I have in years. Because I'm not lying next to someone who's lying to me. I'm not pretending everything is fine when it's falling apart. I'm not performing a role in someone else's story. I'm writing my own. And it's messy and imperfect and still being drafted. But it's mine. All mine. Last month, I spoke at a women's conference in Memphis. 200 women in a hotel ballroom, and I told my story. The whole thing. The texts. The neighbor. The 12 days. The Christmas reveal. Everything. And when I finished, they stood up. All of them. Standing ovation. Women crying. Women nodding. Women coming up to me afterwards saying thank you. Saying I needed to hear this. Saying you gave me permission to leave. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just my story anymore. This was a movement. A revolution of women choosing themselves. Women refusing to shrink. Women walking away from situations that don't serve them. Women burning down the old rules and writing new ones. We're not our mother's generation. We're not staying for the kids or the house or the reputation or because divorce is shameful. We're leaving because staying would kill us. We're choosing life over comfort, growth over stagnation, truth over performance. And the world is shifting because of it. I got an email last week from a 72-year-old woman in Oregon. She'd been married for 50 years. 50 years to a man who belittled her and controlled her and made her feel worthless. And she listened to my podcast and she filed for divorce. At 72. She said, if Sandra can do it at 58, I can do it at 72. Better late than never. I cried reading that email. Because that's impact. That's purpose. That's the reason I'm telling this story. Not for revenge. Not for attention. Not even for healing, though that's a bonus. I'm telling it because someone needs to hear it. Someone needs permission. Someone needs to know that it's possible to lose everything and still find yourself on the other side. That someone might be you. And if it is, I want you to know something. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to be extraordinary. You're going to discover parts of yourself you forgot existed. You're going to laugh louder and cry harder and feel everything more intensely because you're not numbing yourself to survive a bad situation anymore. You're fully alive, fully present, fully you. And that version of you? She's incredible. I met her. I am her. And I'm so glad I didn't let fear keep me from becoming her. Because the woman I was in that marriage? She was small, quiet, accommodating, always making excuses, always justifying his behavior, always putting his needs first, always shrinking to make him feel bigger. That woman is dead. And I'm glad. I mourned her. I honored her. I thanked her for getting me through. But I'm glad she's gone. The woman I am now? She takes up space. She speaks her truth. She sets boundaries. She doesn't apologize for existing. She doesn't perform for approval. She doesn't sacrifice her peace for someone else's comfort. She's free. And freedom looks good on her. Tommy says I glow now. Says there's a lightness to me that wasn't there before. He knew me in high school, so he remembers the before. The girl I was before Carl. Before marriage. Before I learned to shrink. And he says I'm becoming her again. But better. Stronger. More sure. I believe him. Because I feel it. This lightness. This ease. This sense that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It took 58 years and a devastating betrayal to get here. But I got here. And that's what matters. Not the path. The destination. And my destination is joy. Peace. Purpose. Love, maybe, if it's the right kind. The kind that adds to my life instead of subtracting from it. The kind that celebrates who I am instead of requiring me to be less. The kind that feels like freedom instead of captivity. I don't know if Tommy is that. It's too early to tell. But the fact that I'm open to it, that I haven't closed myself off to the possibility of love after betrayal, that's growth. That's healing. That's proof that Carl didn't break me. He broke us. But I remained whole. And I rebuilt. Stronger. Better. Wiser. I know the signs now. The red flags. The patterns. The lies disguised as love. I won't miss them again. I won't make excuses. I won't give endless chances to someone who doesn't deserve a first one. I know my worth now. And I won't accept less than I deserve ever again. That's the gift betrayal gave me. Clarity. Standards. Self-respect. The ability to walk away from anything that doesn't honor who I am. Expensive gift. Painful lesson. But worth it. Because the alternative was staying. Pretending. Dying slowly inside while maintaining the appearance of a happy marriage. Living a lie until I believed it was the truth. No thank you. I'd rather have 12 days of calculated revenge and a lifetime of freedom than 50 more years of comfortable captivity. So here's what I want you to take from this. If you're happy in your relationship, if your partner respects you and honors you and chooses you every day, then hold on to that. Protect it. Nurture it. Don't take it for granted. But if you're staying out of fear or obligation or because you don't think you have options, if you're making excuses for behavior that hurts you, if you're smaller now than you were when you met them, if you've lost yourself trying to love them, then it's time to make a choice. Stay and accept that this is your life. Or go and discover who you could be without them. Both are valid. Both are hard. But only one leads to freedom. I chose freedom. And I hope you will too. Because you deserve it. You deserve a life that doesn't require you to betray yourself. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions or lies or secret second lives. You deserve peace, joy, wholeness. And if your current situation can't give you that, then it's time to find a new situation. I know that's easier said than done. I know there are kids and finances and logistics and fear and a million reasons why leaving feels impossible. But it's not impossible. It's just hard. And you can do hard things. I know you can because I did. And I'm not special. I'm not stronger or braver or more capable than you. I'm just a 58-year-old nurse practitioner from Nashville who got tired of being lied to, who decided enough was enough. Who made a plan and followed through. You can do that too. Whatever your version looks like. However long it takes. You can choose yourself. And when you do, the whole world opens up. Not immediately, not easily, but eventually, gradually. The fog lifts, the weight releases, the light comes back, and you remember who you are underneath all the compromising and accommodating and shrinking. You remember that you're enough, that you've always been enough, that someone else's inability to see your worth says everything about them and nothing about you. You remember that you're valuable and lovable and deserving of good things, not because of what you do or who you're with or how well you perform, just because you exist. That's the truth Carl's betrayal forced me to confront. I'd tied my worth to being a good wife, to making him happy, to holding our marriage together. And when that fell apart, I thought I'd fall apart too. But I didn't. I remained standing. And that's when I realized my worth was never tied to him in the first place. It was always mine. I just forgot. So I'm reminding you. Your worth is yours. It doesn't come from your relationship status or your ability to keep someone faithful or your performance as a partner. It's inherent. It's guaranteed. It's non-negotiable. And anyone who makes you feel otherwise doesn't deserve access to you. Carl doesn't have access to me anymore. I blocked him everywhere. Changed my number. Moved. Started fresh. He's a chapter in my story, not the whole book. And I'm writing new chapters now. Better ones. Ones where I'm the hero instead of the supporting character. You can write new chapters too. Starting today. Starting right now. What would your next chapter look like if you chose yourself? If you stopped waiting for permission or the right time or the perfect circumstances? If you just decided that today is the day you start putting yourself first? Think about it. Really think about it. Because that's not a hypothetical question. That's an invitation. An opportunity. A chance to change your life. You don't need 12 days. You don't need a plan. You don't need to wait for Christmas or New Year's or some arbitrary date that feels significant. You just need to decide. And then act. One step. One choice. One moment of courage. That's all it takes to start. And starting is the hardest part. But once you start, momentum builds. Doors open. Options appear. Help arrives. The universe conspires to support people who support themselves. I've seen it in my own life. As soon as I made the decision to leave, everything aligned. The lawyer appeared. The money showed up. The strength materialized. The path forward became clear. Not easy, but clear. And that's all you need. Clarity. Direction. The knowledge that you're moving towards something better instead of staying stuck in something broken. So move. Choose. Act. Become. The life you want is waiting. But you have to go get it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to save you. You have to save yourself. And you can. I promise you can. Look at me. I'm living proof. 58 years old. Divorced. Starting over. Building a new life from scratch. And I've never been happier. Not because everything is perfect. It's not. I still have hard days. I still struggle. I still miss the comfort of the familiar, even though the familiar was toxic. But I'm free. And freedom is worth every uncomfortable moment it takes to achieve it. So choose freedom. Choose yourself. Choose the life you deserve instead of the life you settled for. Do it scared. Do it messy. Do it imperfectly. But do it. Because you matter. Your happiness matters. Your peace matters. Your life matters. And it's too short to spend it with someone who doesn't see that. Carl didn't see it. But I do. And now he's my past and I'm my future. Make yourself your future too. That's my story. That's my message. That's my gift to you. 12 days of documentation. 1 day of revelation. And the rest of my life living free. I wouldn't change a thing. Not the betrayal. Not the pain. Not the public humiliation on Christmas Day. Because all of it led me here. To this version of myself that I actually love. to this life that feels authentic, to this freedom that tastes sweeter than any marriage ever did. So thank you, Carl, for cheating. Thank you for lying. Thank you for showing me exactly who you were so I could decide who I wanted to be. I chose strength. I chose truth. I chose me. And I'm never going back. If you're still watching, if you've made it this far, then you're ready. Ready to hear this. Ready to receive it. Ready to apply it to your own life. So tell me, where are you watching this from? What time is it there? Drop a comment and let me know. I want to hear from you. I want to know your story. I want to know if this resonated. And if it did, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I've got more stories coming. More women. More truth. More revolution. We're just getting started. This movement of women choosing themselves? It's growing. And I want you to be part of it. So subscribe. Turn on notifications. Be here for the next one. Because the next story? It's even better than this one. Trust me. I'm Sandra Mitchell. And this was my 12 days of freedom. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. Now go live free. But before you go, let me tell you something else. Something I didn't mention earlier because I wanted you to hear the whole story first before I gave you this piece. The weeks after Christmas were harder than I expected. Not because I missed Carl. I didn't. Not even a little bit. But because suddenly I had to face all the things I'd been avoiding by staying busy with my plan. The grief. The anger. The shame. The feeling that maybe I'd wasted 23 years of my life on someone who never really saw me. I had to sit with all of that. Alone. In a hotel room. Then in my temporary apartment. Then finally in my new condo. Just me and my thoughts and my feelings and no distractions. And let me tell you, that was hell. Because when you're married, even to someone who's betraying you, you're never truly alone with yourself. There's always someone else to focus on. Someone else's needs to meet. Someone else's emotions to manage. You can avoid yourself indefinitely by taking care of someone else. But when you leave, when you're finally alone, you have to face yourself. All of yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly. The parts you've been ignoring for decades. I had to face the fact that I'd seen signs of Carl's distance years ago but chose to ignore them. I had to face the fact that I'd stayed longer than I should have because I was scared of being alone. I had to face the fact that somewhere along the way, I'd stopped fighting for my own happiness and started just managing his. Those realizations hurt worse than the betrayal itself. Because the betrayal was something he did to me. But staying small, staying quiet, staying in a marriage that stopped serving me years ago, that was something I did to myself. And I had to forgive myself for that. That was the hardest part. Forgiving myself for not leaving sooner. For not demanding more. For accepting less than I deserved because I didn't think I could do better or find better or be better on my own. I went to therapy. Found a woman named Dr. Lisa Park who specialized in trauma and divorce and rebuilding after betrayal. She was tough. Didn't let me play victim. Didn't let me blame everything on Carl. Made me look at my own role in why the marriage deteriorated. Not my role in his cheating. That was 100% on him. But my role in staying in a dead marriage. In accepting breadcrumbs of affection. In making myself smaller to avoid conflict. That was on me. And I had to own it. Had to look at it. Had to understand why I did it so I wouldn't do it again. Dr. Park said something that changed everything for me. She said, Sandra, you can't control what other people do to you. But you can control what you do to yourself. And staying with someone who disrespects you? That's you disrespecting yourself. I cried in her office that day. Sobbed. Because she was right. Carl disrespected me, yes. But I'd been disrespecting myself long before he ever cheated. I'd been abandoning myself. Betraying myself. Choosing him over me again and again and again. And that stopped the day I found those messages. That was the day I finally chose me. And I needed to celebrate that choice instead of beating myself up for not making it sooner. So I did. I celebrated. I threw myself a divorce party. Invited my closest friends. Wore white. Drank champagne. Danced in my living room to songs about freedom and new beginnings and women who don't need men to complete them. It was ridiculous. It was healing. It was exactly what I needed. My friend Patricia, Carl's sister, came. She'd been through her own divorce 2 years earlier and she understood. She gave a toast that night that made everyone cry. She said to Sandra, who taught me that it's never too late to choose yourself, who showed me that public humiliation is sometimes the only language cheaters understand, and who proved that life after divorce can be better than life during marriage. We cheered. We cried. We laughed. And I felt seen. Really seen. Maybe for the first time in decades. Because in my marriage, I was Mrs. Carl Mitchell. Carl's wife. The woman behind the man. The support system. The steady one. The responsible one. The one who held everything together while he got to be the fun one, the charismatic one, the one everyone liked. But that night, I was just Sandra. And Sandra was enough. More than enough. Sandra was celebration worthy. Sandra was strong and brave and funny and resilient. Sandra had friends who loved her for her, not because she was attached to someone else. Sandra had value independent of any relationship status. That was revolutionary for me. To see myself as a whole person. Not a half waiting for another half to complete me. Just whole. All on my own. Carl tried to crash the party. Showed up drunk around midnight banging on my door saying we needed to talk, saying I was being unreasonable, saying we could work this out if I just stopped being so dramatic. My friends formed a wall. Told him to leave. Threatened to call the cops. He left. And I realized something in that moment. He wasn't sorry he cheated. He was sorry he got caught. Sorry he faced consequences. Sorry his life imploded. But he wasn't sorry for hurting me. Because if he was, he wouldn't be at my door demanding I make this easier for him. He'd be giving me space. Respecting my boundaries. Accepting that he destroyed something that can't be rebuilt. That confirmed I'd made the right choice. Not that I needed confirmation by that point. But it helped. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. 8 months of lawyers and paperwork and negotiations and Carl trying to fight me on everything. He wanted the house. He wanted to keep his full pension. He wanted to pay minimal alimony. He wanted to pretend like his affair didn't matter in the eyes of the law. Rebecca destroyed him. She presented the evidence. The timeline. The lies. The financial records showing he'd spent marital funds on Jennifer. Hotel rooms. Dinners. Gifts. He'd been using our money to fund his affair. The judge was not impressed. Granted me everything Rebecca asked for. The house was sold and I got 60% of the proceeds. I got half his pension. I got alimony for 5 years. I got the car I wanted. I got closure. Carl got Jennifer. And from what I hear through the grapevine, that relationship fell apart within 6 months. Turns out when the affair becomes the relationship, when there's no more sneaking around and excitement and forbidden fruit, it loses its appeal. They had to face each other in the cold light of day. Had to deal with reality. Had to confront the fact that they weren't star-crossed lovers. They were just two people who made selfish choices that hurt others. Jennifer lost her husband, her reputation, her friend group. Everyone in the neighborhood sided with Mark and me. She ended up moving. Couldn't handle the judgment. The whispers. The cold shoulders at the grocery store. And Carl? Carl lost his family. Most of them anyway. His parents still talk to him. They're his parents, but the relationship is strained. His sisters barely speak to him. His brother thinks he's an idiot. Extended family disinvited him from holidays. He's essentially alone. By his own doing. And I don't feel bad about that. Not even a little bit. Actions have consequences. And his action was betrayal. So his consequence is loneliness. Meanwhile, I'm thriving. The podcast grew beyond anything I imagined. Started with a few hundred listeners. Now I'm at over 200,000 subscribers. I get emails every single day from women saying I changed their life, gave them courage, helped them leave. I've been featured in magazines, asked to speak at conferences, invited on other podcasts and radio shows. People want to hear my story, want to learn from it, want to be inspired by it. And I'm honored, humbled, grateful. Because this pain that nearly destroyed me, it became my purpose. It became the thing that connects me to thousands of women going through the same thing. I'm not special. I'm just willing to be honest, to be vulnerable, to share the ugly parts along with the triumphant parts, to admit that some days I'm still angry, still hurt, still processing. Healing isn't linear. It's messy. It's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It's good days and bad days and days where you don't even know what you're feeling. You're just feeling everything all at once. But it's worth it. The healing is worth it. The work is worth it. The discomfort of growth is worth it. Because on the other side of that healing is freedom. Real freedom. Not just freedom from a bad relationship, but freedom from the parts of yourself that kept you in it. I'm free from people pleasing, from conflict avoidance, from the belief that my value comes from being useful to someone else, from the fear of being alone, from the need for external validation. I'm just me now, unapologetically, loudly, fully. And let me tell you about Tommy for a minute. Because that relationship, whatever it is, it's teaching me what healthy love looks like. Tommy doesn't need me. He wants me. There's a difference. He's whole on his own. He's dealt with his grief. He's done his work. He's not looking for someone to fix him or save him or complete him. He's looking for a partner, an equal, someone to share life with, not someone to build his life around. And that's new for me. Carl needed me, needed my stability, my income, my emotional labor, my willingness to manage everything so he could focus on his dreams. Tommy doesn't need any of that. He manages his own emotions, pays his own bills, has his own hobbies and friends in life. He invites me into his world, but he doesn't require me to be his world. And at first, that scared me, because I'd equated being needed with being loved. If he didn't need me, did he really want me? But Dr. Park helped me see that being needed isn't love. It's dependence. And dependence creates resentment, creates obligation, creates a dynamic where one person gives and the other takes until the giver has nothing left. Being wanted? That's love. That's choice. That's 2 people deciding every day to show up for each other not because they have to, but because they want to. Tommy wants me. He chooses me. Every single day. And I choose him back. And there's freedom in that. Freedom to be myself without fear that if I'm not useful enough or accommodating enough or easy enough, he'll leave. Because he's not with me for what I do. He's with me for who I am. And who I am is enough. That's the relationship I should have had all along. That's what I deserved with Carl but never got. And now that I have it, I can see how broken my marriage really was. We weren't partners. We were a caretaker and a dependent. A fixer and a broken thing. A giver and a taker. And that's not sustainable. Eventually the giver runs out of things to give. Eventually the resentment builds. Eventually something breaks. For us, that something was trust. Carl broke it. I walked away from the pieces. And I'm glad I did because trying to rebuild would have required me to go back to being the fixer. The accommodator. The one who does all the emotional labor while he does whatever he wants. No thank you. Been there. Done that. Never again. Now I'm in a relationship where we both show up. We both communicate. We both compromise. We both do the work. And it's easy. Not perfect, but easy. Natural. Effortless in the way healthy things are. I didn't know relationships could be like this. I thought love was supposed to be hard. Supposed to require sacrifice and compromise and constant effort. Supposed to be work. But I was wrong. Relationships require work, yes. But they shouldn't feel like work. They should feel like home. Like safety. Like partnership. Like two people choosing each other and making it easy to be chosen. That's what I have now. And I'm never settling for less again. Carl taught me what I don't want. Tommy is teaching me what I do want. And both lessons were necessary. I had to experience the bad to recognize the good. Had to feel disrespected to know what respect feels like. Had to be betrayed to understand the value of trust. Had to lose myself to find myself again. And I did find myself. She was buried under years of compromise and accommodation and people-pleasing. But she was there, waiting, ready to emerge the moment I gave her permission. That's who I am now. The woman who was always there but got covered up by the roles I played. Wife, caretaker, supporter, fixer, manager of someone else's life. Now I'm just Sandra. And Sandra is a podcast host, a speaker, a writer, a friend, a girlfriend maybe. A woman who chose herself and built a beautiful life from that choice. Sandra is happy. Sandra is free. Sandra is whole. And if Carl hadn't cheated, I might have stayed Sandra the wife forever. Might have died never knowing who Sandra the individual could be. Might have spent the rest of my life managing his life instead of living mine. So in a twisted way, his betrayal set me free. Forced me to face myself. Forced me to choose. Forced me to grow into someone I actually like instead of remaining someone I barely recognized. I wouldn't have chosen this path. Given the choice, I would have preferred a faithful husband and a happy marriage and growing old together like we promised. But that wasn't an option. So I chose the next best thing. Growing old as myself. Fully. Authentically. Unapologetically. And that's pretty damn good too. The podcast is expanding. I'm writing a book. Got a publishing deal last month. It's going to be called 12 Days of Freedom, same as this video, and it's going to tell the whole story in even more detail. The before, the during, the after, the healing, the growth, the lessons. I'm terrified to write it. Terrified to be that vulnerable, that exposed. That honest about my failures and fears and the parts of the story that don't make me look good. But I'm doing it anyway. Because someone needs to read it. Someone needs to know they're not alone. Someone needs permission to choose themselves. And if my story gives them that permission, then it's worth every uncomfortable moment of writing it. The book comes out next fall. I'll be doing a book tour. Speaking events. Podcast interviews. The whole thing. Me, talking about the worst thing that ever happened to me, to rooms full of strangers. A year ago, that would have terrified me. Would have felt like exposing my shame to the world. Would have felt like admitting I failed at marriage, at keeping my husband interested, at being enough. But now it feels like reclaiming my story. Like taking the narrative away from Carl and making it mine. Like transforming pain into purpose and shame into strength. Now it feels like power. Because I'm not a woman whose husband cheated. I'm a woman who discovered betrayal and chose herself. I'm a woman who documented lies and planned revenge and served papers on Christmas Day and walked away from everything familiar into something unknown. I'm a woman who survived. Who rebuilt. Who thrived. Who turned tragedy into triumph. That's my identity now. Not victim. Survivor. Not broken. Rebuilt. Not defeated. Victorious. And that identity? It's earned. It's real. It's mine. Nobody can take it from me. Not Carl. Not Jennifer. Not anyone who judges me for how I handled things. Not anyone who thinks I should have been quieter, more private, more dignified in my pain. I chose loud. I chose public. I chose to make him face consequences in front of everyone he wanted to impress. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because silence protects abusers. Privacy protects cheaters. Dignity is just another word for don't make waves. And I was done protecting him at my own expense. So I made waves. I made tsunamis. I flooded his whole life with truth and let him drown in the consequences. And I slept like a baby afterwards. The women in my podcast community understand. They've been there. They've been lied to and gaslit and betrayed. They've been told to be quiet, to forgive, to move on, to not make a scene. And they're tired of it. Tired of protecting men who hurt them. Tired of being the bigger person. Tired of sacrificing their own healing for someone else's comfort. So we're creating a new narrative. One where women choose themselves. Where betrayal has consequences. Where pain doesn't have to be silent. Where healing is loud and messy and public if that's what it takes. We're creating a community of women who refuse to shrink. Who refuse to stay. Who refuse to accept less than they deserve. And it's powerful. It's revolutionary. It's changing lives. I get messages every week from women who left after listening to my story. Women who filed papers. Who moved out. Who chose themselves. Who were terrified but doing it anyway. And I cheer them on. Every single one. Because I know how hard it is. I know the fear. The guilt. The shame. The worry about what people will think or say or believe. But I also know the freedom on the other side. The peace. The joy. The relief of finally being true to yourself instead of loyal to someone who wasn't loyal to you. And that freedom is worth every hard moment it takes to get there. So if you're reading this, if you're in that place right now, if you're weighing your options and wondering if you can really do this, I want you to know something. You can. You absolutely can. It won't be easy. It won't be comfortable. It won't be pretty. But you can do it. You can leave. You can start over. You can build a new life. You can heal. You can thrive. You can be happy again. I'm proof. I'm living proof that 58 is not too old. That 23 years is not too much time invested. That fear is not a good enough reason to stay. That you can lose everything and still find yourself on the other side. You can do this. And you should. Because you deserve better. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. You deserve a partner who chooses you every day. Who values you. Who sees you. And if your current partner doesn't, then it's time to become your own partner. Time to choose yourself. Time to value yourself. Time to see yourself the way you deserve to be seen. As worthy. As valuable. As deserving of good things. As enough. Just as you are. Without changing or fixing or improving. Just enough. That's what I learned. That's what I want you to learn. That's the message I'm spending the rest of my life sharing. You are enough. You've always been enough. And anyone who makes you feel otherwise is not your person. Let them go. Choose yourself. Build the life you want instead of managing the life you settled for. It's not too late. It's never too late. As long as you're breathing, you have time to choose differently. To start over. To become who you were meant to be before life and relationships and other people's expectations covered her up. That woman is still in there. Waiting. Ready. Hoping you'll finally choose her. So choose her. Today. Right now. This moment. Choose yourself. Choose freedom. Choose peace. Choose joy. Choose life. Choose you. Because you're worth choosing. You've always been worth choosing. And it's time you finally believe that. I believe it. I believe in you. I believe you can do this. I believe you're strong enough and brave enough and worthy enough. Now you just have to believe it too. And then act on that belief. Take one step. Make one choice. Do one thing that honors yourself instead of sacrificing yourself. And then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next. Until choosing yourself becomes natural instead of radical. Until it's a habit instead of an act of rebellion. Until you're free. That's my wish for you. Freedom. Peace. Joy. A life that feels like yours instead of a life you're just managing for someone else. You deserve that. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not your partner. Not your family. Not society. Not even yourself. You deserve happiness. You deserve respect. You deserve love that doesn't require you to betray yourself. And if you don't have that now, you can create it. You can find it. You can become it. I did. And I'm nothing special. I'm just a woman who got tired of being small. Who decided enough was enough. Who chose herself and discovered that she was the one she'd been waiting for all along. You're the one you've been waiting for too. You just have to realize it. And then live like it's true. Because it is true. It's always been true. And it's time you finally stepped into that truth. I'm Sandra Mitchell. I'm 58 years old. I'm divorced. I'm a podcast host. I'm writing a book. I'm dating a good man. I'm happy. I'm free. I'm whole. And I'm living proof that it's never too late to choose yourself. So choose yourself. Today. Right now. In whatever way makes sense for your situation. Leave or stay. Fight or flight. Speak up or walk away. Whatever choosing yourself looks like for you, do that. Just don't stay stuck out of fear. Don't sacrifice yourself for someone who wouldn't sacrifice for you. Don't make yourself smaller to make someone else comfortable. Be big. Be loud. Be honest. Be free. Be you. That's all you ever needed to be. Just you. Fully. Completely. Unapologetically. The world needs more women like that. Women who choose themselves. Women who refuse to shrink. Women who know their worth and won't accept less. Be one of those women. Join me. Join us. Join this revolution of self-choosing, self-respecting, self-honoring women who are changing the world one divorce paper at a time. Okay, maybe that's dramatic. But you get the point. Choose you. That's the message. That's the lesson. That's the whole story distilled into 2 words. Choose you. Everything else is just details. So where are you watching this from? What time is it where you are? Drop a comment and tell me. Tell me your story if you want. Tell me you're choosing yourself today. Tell me you needed to hear this. Tell me something. Anything. I want to know you're out there. I want to know this reached you. I want to know I'm not alone in this mission to help women choose themselves. So comment. Like this video if it resonated. Subscribe because I have more stories coming. More women. More truth. More revolution. The next video drops next week. It's about a woman who discovered her husband had a whole second family in another state. You're not going to want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Be here for the next one. Because this is just the beginning. I'm Sandra Mitchell. This was my story. These were my 12 days of freedom. And I hope they inspire your first day of choosing yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring enough to watch all the way to the end. Now go live your life. Your real life. The one you deserve. The one you've been waiting for. The one that's been waiting for you. Go be free.